And we met and we chatted a bit, and he told me that he was thinking of putting together a new band. And the next day, by chance, we ended up on an Air Canada flight, sitting next to each other in first class, as I recall, going to Toronto. And then gave me the whole pitch, and we followed up in Toronto. He said, if you're interested, give me a call, and that was it.
Because basically you came from two different worlds. I mean, you were more, orchestrating, the songs that Lighthouse were to compose, and Skip was, a rock and roll drummer with the Poppers. So really, you were coming from two different worlds at that time.
Yeah, I don't know if we're coming from two different worlds, two different places, but we had a lot in common. I think one of the things that for sure we had in common and we chatted about is we loved movie scores. And we loved going to see the movies and listening to those large orchestral kind of spaces. And at that time, the Beatles had recently put out their Sgt. Pepper band and everything like that, and were unable to go on the road and play it. The idea was to put together a band that had all the resources to play any kind of music that we had in our minds. We had a lot of that. So there you go.
Beautiful.
We also both like jazz.
And I think I'm going to ask Skip this question, because really, when I come out to these gigs, I'm able to MC, these great bands. But how did you get Duke Ellington to do what I'm doing tonight at the Rock Pile in 1969? Why did that happen, Skip?
Okay. All right, there was a guy who did promotions for Lighthouse out of New York. His name is Stu Hertz of the Hertz family. The Hertz trucks, etc. Okay. He also did promotion work for Duke Ellington. Anyway, apparently Duke had to go somewhere, whether it was the airport or whatever. And Stu said to him, listen, why don't you let me take you out in my limo? So Duke said, hey, that's cool. So they started out from, he was playing in Royal York, I think, at that time. He said, just before we go to the airport, I want you to stop in and see a couple of friends of mine. They got this big new band with strings, and you'll love them. So Duke goes, okay. So they pull up to the side door, the rock pile,
yeah.
Right there. Pull up to the side door. They bring him in. He's already got photographers there. They sit Duke down between Paul and I. They go, snap, shoot a bunch of pictures. Stu Hertz gets him up on stage and says, okay, you got to introduce these guys. And of course, his big quote was something, I think it was, I finally see the Lighthouse. And everybody went nuts. You want to talk about a photo op? It made national press right across the country. And that's how that happened.
That's great. Now Ralph Cole, he came all the way from Kalamazoo, Michigan, just to be in Toronto. So now, how were you convinced to come here after seeing Skip and the Poppers?
Well, we made a connection. I think our bands were similar in a lot of ways, so we had a little bit of that there. But I think for myself, I like the drumming. I always have bands with crummy drummers, and so
Mr. Bokov here.
Yeah, right. And so I think we admired each other for our abilities on our instrument, for one thing, and also our musical interest. And so he said, "Look, I'll call you. I'll give you a call." And I figured he ain't gonna call. He's gonna get. And so 3 months went by, and I get a phone call. And they pick up the phone, and I was sort of not even thinking about this. And I phone come and said, "Who is this?" Says, "It's Skip." And I said, "Skip who?" And he said, "Skip."
I guess, give me a Skip Spence? No, it's Skip! Anyway, I finally realized when he said it loud enough who it was. So anyway, at that point, came up, and Lighthouse consisted of, didn't have a name, but it consisted of Skip and Paul and me in the living room with drum pads and acoustic guitar and piano.
That's great. And we got to talk about Bob McBride, the late great Bob McBride, a very big Toronto fan of yours, and how he influenced the band. But the thing that amazes me is that Pretty Lady, are you on the vocal or is it Ralph on the vocal? Skip's on the vocal because Bob didn't show up to the recording session that day. But now we play that on Psychedelic Sunday and you sing that. And do you sing it in concert, Skip? So there you go. But
Skip and I sing every background vocal.
right now the producer was what was his name? So he just said, you guys, you got to do this. So there you go. Now this lineup here with Dan Clancy on vocals has been together longer than the original band members. So these guys are smoking hot, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for talking to me tonight.
21 years.
21 years for this lineup here. And Dan and I are good buds. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for talking to me, guys. Lighthouse!